Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated. All tied up, no more love, and I'd hate to see you waiting. Had to have high hopes for a living, shooting for the stars, but I couldn't make a killing. Didn't have a dime, but I always had a vision. Always had high hopes. Had to have high hopes for a living. Didn't know how, but I always had a feeling I was gonna be that one in a million. Always had high hopes. Mama said, something for oddities, stranger kisses. Ain't ever wannabes, winning the novelties that don't ever change. We wanted everything, wanted everything. Stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Oh, stay up on that rise, stay up on that rise, never come down. Mama said, don't give up. It's a little complicated, all tied up, no more love.
a bird now. And this bird you cannot change. Oh, and the bird you cannot change. And this bird you cannot change. Lord knows I can't change.
Coming in at 6'4" 240 pounds, and 2 Red Bulls deep, your CEO, Levi Conlow.
Lord, I can't change. Won't you fly free,
Oh, I love this job. I love this job. I love this company. Love the people in this room. You guys are freaking awesome. We just started. My voice shot. This is awesome. Whew. Back to back. It's a great accomplishment. You know, for those that didn't hear, it does show that we truly are not just talented. We are obsessed. That is the DNA of Lectric. They may doubt, we will deliver. That is the DNA of Lectric. So, you know, there's a saying that, you know, it's, yeah, dude, anybody got water? But that's sick. Oh, thank you. Is, yeah, 6'4", 240, that is generous. Yeah, there are those that say it's harder to stay at the top than it is to get there. Our competition would say that. We proved we are better than that by going back to back. So obviously we're all here for a very fun announcement and product launch. There's a lot of fun things going on today. You know, the job at Lectric is to be the greatest urban transportation solution ever, to electrify human movement. And it's an awesome job, and it's an awesome reason to show up to work. But at the end of the day, that is our job. So how can we be more than that? How can we do and give more? Well, you know, it's to look beyond the bikes and serve in our community in more than just that one way. So one of the, you know, things that I'm really stoked to announce today is, and for those that already know, that Lectric is very involved with the Arizona foster community. We invest into that, something I'm personally, you know, very passionate about and have worked closely with, experienced the great upside and wins of it, the great heartbreaks of it at times as well. But it is something that is worth the investment. And Lectric, for those that don't already know, currently sponsor 10 Arizona foster children to full educations at Grand Canyon University. And woo, yeah, all right. Pretty sick, right? And so we started this, you know, several years ago, And we've seen great success from that program. We've seen the stories of students getting their degree in nursing or whatever and going into the workforce, trajectory of lives. You know, these students are the tip of the spear. They're truly trailblazers. And we've seen really great early investment and success. So it'd be foolish not to further invest into that. And so when you see something that works, yes, let's double the investment, but actually let's triple it. So we're taking it from 10 students, we're going to 30 students, so we're going to be, yeah. That's their education, room and board, you know, additional learning resources, all of that is invested. And so it's a really cool partnership and stoked to see the, you know, long-term benefits that this creates. So super stoked about it. Another thing, you know, just for general housekeeping, we got a lot of people in this room, but we actually have several thousands of customers watching online, and, you know, this is for them and the benefit of Lectric. Lectric is known for our success in customer service, right? You see it all over the forums. We treat people so well, we take care of them, and that is only going to continue to get invested into and built over time. And that is part of our brand. We invest into our brand. And so we've seen a reduction in customer service, you know, inquiries by about 5% year over year so far. But we've built the staff an additional 30%. So we're going to be able to take even more care of the customer, give them the attention, the time that they need so they can be successful riders and advocates for us out there. So very excited about this next chapter of Lectric. Let's get a 2 clap for that. There's some new people, right? They didn't see that coming. Let's do another 2 clap. There we go. Man, this is sick. Sorry, voice is gone. What's interesting is we were just like hooting and hollering, right? And already my voice is starting to recover. And, you know, you can feel it in this room. You can feel the emptiness, right? But it's because of that aftertaste. The aftertaste to victory is hunger. And we are really freaking hungry, right? We're hungry for another one of these. Another banner. You know, plenty want it. Few had the chance to chase it. We expected this. This is not, you know, this is a job, this is expectation, this is no surprise. The team that we have built here, we expect this. And so it's this hunger. We've been waiting for this for months to figure out, did we or did we not get that next banner? And what happens is, again, this joy and this excitement that we just experienced from that banner is already fading, right? It's that aftertaste, it's that hunger. You know, we're freaking starving, right? Like, we love getting after it. And so my obsession really is just to fill these rafters. My obsession is more banners. I want more banners. Let me ask the people in this room, what do you want? What do you want? And it's not one, right? It's certainly not two. It's as many as it takes to leave no doubt. What are we not going to rest until we have? We rest when we're forgotten, not when we're number one. What are we going to take? We do not wait for them. We do not wish for them. We take them. 1 was a memory. 2 is a statement. But 3, that is our legacy. So how do we do it? Interesting. But I think the way we do it, the customers have an idea. The customers are telling us what they want. You do it with the bike that has been there, done that. The bike that's been the #1 selling electric bike the last 4 years. The bike that knows going back to back is not a finish line, but a foundation to go take more banners. So ladies and gentlemen, I introduce to you the Lectric XP4. Ladies and gentlemen, what are we gonna take? 4 banners! This is the formula. This is the recipe. Woo! This sound team knows me so well. We start with a little Freebird and we get the Halo soundtrack. This is awesome. Oh my goodness. You can just look at this bike and tell it is going to make a lot of competitors uncomfortable. It's going to apply a lot of pressure to the industry just by looking at it. And so, what you should already know if you know me is I'm really not that good, right? I'm not that talented. It's true. This is really a representation of just how supported Robbie and I are. And so throughout this bike, I'm going to take you through some components that, a huge team worked on in order to make it the way it is. But one of the people I'm going to have up on stage now is Joe Gray. Mr. Joe Gray, come on up. One of the most talented industrial designers in the e-bike industry, and he's going to talk to you about why this looks so good, because I'm not qualified for it. So, Joe, take it away.
I can do it. The mic's working. I can feel it. Thanks, Levi. When I was asked to come up here and talk, they looked at me and they said, "You're going to go after Levi." And I didn't know what that look meant. Now I know what that look meant. My name's Joe. I'm an industrial designer. That means I'm sort of like an architect, but I don't work on your grandma's house. I work on things like bikes and electronics and housewares and stuff that you use every day. And so I got to work on the XP4 project, and I'm so proud of it. I didn't get to see this image until about a week ago. And when Christy and team showed it to me as a screen share, I almost fell out of my seat because I hadn't touched the project in about 6 months since that moment, and I was like, it's alive. It's real. It's happening. And I hope that everybody feels that same energy right now because it's looking so good. I want to talk just really briefly about like the ideas that went into this bike and then sort of why I was so psyched at the end. And so there's 2 main thoughts that went into the XP4 and actually the entire visual brand language that we developed for Lectric. I got a call from Robbie, it's about a year and a half ago, and he's like, "Joe, I want you to do some design work for us." And I was like, "Cool, what are you thinking? Is this like a 1-bike project?" And he's like, "I want you to make all of our bikes sick." And I was like, "Yeah, I think we can do that." And I think that there was some pressure sort of coming from sort of the lower value bike brands or even factories trying to nip at the heels of what Lectric was doing. And so it was like, we got this moment now, after a couple of banners, that we can really turn the page and do all of this bike design from the ground up. And the problem is, when you're going to do all of that bike design yourself, and you have a lot of decisions to make, and one of the most important ones is, how do you want people to feel when they look at the bikes? When you see a bike online, the side view of the bike, or when you go into the sales floor and you see the bike just sitting there, it should say something to you. The best brands in the world sort of have that kind of communication. It's really simple. Like, you probably name like your favorite brand, and then right away you know how that brand makes you feel. Hummer got a feeling. Jeep's got a feeling. Tesla's got a feeling. Lectric needed a feeling. So that was the biggest problem I had to try to figure out. And we did it. We did it by looking at what you guys do as a brand already. Lectric's core principles are high quality, value, which sometimes are at odds with each other, service, which is a very important thing. By the way, how do you communicate service? By looking at a bike. There was an idea there. And then there was a fourth one. Anybody want to help me out? More banners. I think it's actually authenticity. And that's a tough one too. And that actually kind of means being authentic to who Lectric is as a company and being different from all of the other brands. We got some water? Okay, so I boiled that down and rode bikes with people and talked to customers in the sales floor and tried to really figure out what is it that Lectric offers to the customer when they're riding the bike, when they're living with it, when they're loving it. And it's two things. It's movement and motion and freedom. That's the first one. And I'll talk about how we sort of tried to embody that in the design of this frame. If you notice these two really big forward-leaning like lines, those are the two main sort of like gestures that this bike has. And the best way I can describe it is, it's almost like a bird sitting on a perch of a branch just ready to fly. And it's just a subliminal thing that this bike is ready to move when it's not even moving. And when you see it on the website, it's going to tell you that. And when you look at it from a distance on the floor, it's going to tell you that. This thing's going to make you feel good. It's going to make you feel excited. It's going to make you feel like a 10-year-old kid going on your first bike ride, even if you're 70 years old, and that's the idea. The second thing is confidence. And I think if you look at a bike that has wonky design decisions on it, how confident are you going to be in the customer service of that company that put that bike together? Probably not very confident. So the idea with confidence is we make sure that the design of every tube, every angle has a purpose to it, and it looks that way. So that when a customer sees it, there's nothing wonky, there's nothing off. It actually looks like familiar structures that you have confidence in your everyday life, like bridges, or like roads, or like things that you trust without even thinking about it. So that's why there's a lot of parallel lines, a lot of horizontal lines. These are structures that we're familiar with and that we trust. And that is the idea behind this entire frame. Now, like, those ideas are really cool, like, in and of themselves, but it actually has to like come together to become a bicycle and look like a bicycle too. And all of those decisions are really, really difficult to make. Be all right? Thank you. And I couldn't make all of them on my own. And so the coolest surprise and the real joy I felt when I first saw this bike was that I made that initial compass about how to get to those feelings with the design work, and the team at Lectric like executed on all of those ideas and used the compass and got to a place that was even better than I thought we could get to. All the talent was here in the Lectric team. Blake, the engineer, Erica, the creative director. Look at the color choices. Like, these are so much more sophisticated than what was happening before. No cap. It's good. It's real good. And I mean, like, I think just be excited. I hope that the feeling is I don't know, is as good as I see it. So I don't know, I'm really stoked on this, guys, and thank you for letting me come and share some of that design process, and thanks, Lectric team. And back to Levi.
Hey, thank you. So Joe crushed at his job, which is dope. And so he helped equip us with a really awesome looking bike with a great defining attitude. It kept that, monotube strong format, but, brought this strength to it. And so a lot of the attitude is caught up in the frame, but also a lot of the attitude of a bike is actually caught up in the tires. And so what we're gonna go look at now is these are custom mixed terrain tires that we've now created. And what's cool is in the center, you see a contact patch that is more like a slick tire, but on the edges, you have a more knobby style. And so you get the benefit of being able to ride on gravel, take it on, different types of surfaces, but you get the benefit of the bike being extremely quiet while riding. There's actually, this other company that does a tire like this. And what we had seen in the owners group and Reddit was everybody was recommending that, hey, when you get your bike, go to these tires. And if you actually go on that, many people know the exact tire I'm talking about. If you go onto that site and look at their reviews, it's a different bike company. The majority of the reviews is all about, I got it for my XP 3.0 or I got it for my Expedition. And so it only makes sense that that's how we spec our bike and add it. And you also get the benefit with that contact patch being more slick is higher efficiency. And so just overall, a nice upgrade for the tires driven by customer feedback. Now, if we go up and we look at the light, you're gonna see it here on the screen, is an upgraded headlight. And so one of the things added to it is those side amber lights. So it's a nice glow. So when you're out riding at night, it just adds some more visibility. You can see, by the way, just these black stanchions on the bike and everything. You can see it up there as well, but really just a beautiful, beautiful design. All right, so this is one of the fun parts. Let's go up and look at the cockpit of the bike. And the cockpit has been completely reimagined through a ton of customer, yeah. The people in the room are gonna love a lot of these improvements. So let's just take a look at first the brakes on it. So we are keeping with hydraulic brakes, but we've upgraded it to the Star Union 602s. And so the 602, this is a really cool story. Star Union came to us and said, we really want to put our brakes on your bikes. It's the #1 selling electric bike for the last 4 years. We want the bike on, or the brakes on it, because instantly, if we only put it on the XP, we can now say in our next board meeting that we are 10% of the North American market for brakes just by putting it on one bike. So they really wanted to work with us. And we had great hydraulic brakes before. So we just told them, if you can beat it, we'll put it on. And they came back, they upgraded the levers to a really great aluminum lever. And then the rotor actually got thicker by about 28%. So you're gonna experience a ton of great bite with the brakes, and they're just significantly better. And so because they were custom made for us, we actually got the, to pick the name. And so these are the 602s for the area code of Phoenix. If you are, Customer service question, 602-715-0907. Give them a jingle. Great team, great team. So now that's a touch point. It has this ergonomic design in the lever, but also what's connected to it, focusing on touch point, is the lock-on ergonomic grips that we originally introduced on the Lectric one. So we first brought it out on a $2,000 bike. When you do a $2,000 bike, there's an expectation to make it more premium feeling and awesome. And so that was something we did, and it's just, with Lectric, as we improve these bikes, we want to, bring stuff from the higher tiers down to the flagship. This deserves our very best. This is the breadwinner, the bike that drives, a lion's share of the business, and so it should get our very best on every single component throughout the whole bike. So the ergonomic grips. Now let's go to the right of that and take a look at the button pattern, and that's been changed. And so you're going to see some new functionality some turn signal controls. I'm going to talk more about what that display is, going to be doing connected to this button pad. So, but first, let's actually jump to the other side of the bike and look at something that's been requested for a long time for the XP. It's an upgrade to the Shimano Altus drivetrain. We wanted to go to that trigger shifter. We watched the reviews, we watched the forums, and people make these pros and cons lists for the last generation and our other bikes, and they would say all these positive things, but then, oh, it's got a Shimano tourney, right? And I just want to delete these cons. There's the pros and cons. I would prefer zero cons. I want to make reviewers and people in the industry very uncomfortable, where it's like we have to knock it for something, but I really can't find it anymore. So we've upgraded to the Altus drivetrain. That trigger shifter feels great. But so one of the issues with the with putting that trigger shifter over on the right, Shimano only makes it for the right side. We need to find a home for that throttle. So we're going to go back to the other side of the handlebars, and you're going to see an ergonomic thumb throttle. And our customers, many of them are throttle junkies. I might be one of them. I love throttling. And so holding down the throttle for a long time, it needs to be a comfortable ergonomic design. We've been doing this now for 6 years. And so at the end of this month, it's our 6-year anniversary. And so we got to design, we've learned so much over time on how to design certain things, and this thumb throttle is one of those upgrades we've made. Okay, this is a fun one. So let's go ahead and let's look at this display. And so it's a detachable 3.5-inch TFT display. And so, yeah. So you just pop it off, and then you have the 2 Gillette plugs. And why did we do that actually? The reason is, man, all this Red Bull got the shakes a bit. So why did we do that? So this is by customer feedback, and then the customer service feedback to Rob and I. So you just got your bike, and maybe one of our shipping partners, FedEx or UPS, decided to shot put it, and the display breaks, and that's so lame for, you get the bike's super well packaged, but it's glass up there, and it could get smashed once they shot put it. So the solution is to have it pre-built on here, and now it comes in its own little box, and it's completely protected from shot putting, and so it's going to help, it's going to delete the damaged displays upon delivery. So that's one benefit. But also customers, as you transport it around to the campground or whatever, you throw it in the truck, pop that bad boy off, don't let it get damaged. We are trying to solve for problems. In the industry, this is not the standard, right? Almost nobody's doing a detachable screen, but it solves for something, therefore we will figure it out. And it's by customers' feedback and conversations that we design something like this. The screen also has USB-C charging. Now, snap right back in. Let's turn it on and see, what does a TFT display actually mean? And so now it's not preset digital. It's no longer like a Texas Instruments digital calculator. It's an actual screen with dynamic response. And so as we look at it, there's this power bar, and this power bar goes up and down as you're using up your motor. We have 5 riding modes: Eco, Tour, Sport, Sport Plus, and Turbo, and the battery in the top has been changed to percentage. And so this is a really cool screen. I love the way it looks, but yeah, all right. And so let me give some credit. This display, again, I can't do this because I'm, don't even know how, but so Aaron from our team did all the design. When you have a TFT display, yeah, give it up for Aaron. When you have a TFT display, the world is your oyster. You can design it and make it look however you want. And so we completely had freedom to change it. And so that was her task. And you know what's cool about this opportunity? So once you go to TFT, it's really just balls in your court to make it the best in the industry, right? It's, are you better than everybody else at designing? And fortunately, Aaron is better than everybody else at designing a really good screen. And Austin had to go through over 100 iterations of programming and everything in order it to, actually function and be a great part of this bike. So I love the screen, but it's not my favorite screen. It has secondary screens. And so you got a second screen and a third screen. So now you can see what's your input power, how much power are you providing the bike, how much power is the motor providing, what is your pedaling cadence, right? Sometimes, if you talk to a hardcore cyclist, they might ask you your cadence, and you may have no idea what that is. Now you can keep an eye on that and know, hey, I pedal at a 45, that's pretty slow, but 70, whatever. And it's really cool, distance, whatever. So this is cool. This is something for the customers and the CX. Let's take a look at the settings menu. Boom, all right, so this thing, they're hyped about it. They're hyped about it. I see some customers in the room nodding their head in approval because no longer do you have to memorize codes. You don't have to memorize P8 should be turned to 45 or P22, I gotta change that one to 2. And no longer do you have to memorize codes in order to change the settings. It's all easily spelled out for you, and there's some different changes that you can make in terms of that performance of the bike, and you can really have 96 unique profiles. So huge upgrade. So many times this team has, and I've been there many times myself, customer calls in or pulls me aside and says, hey, I need to change this. Do you remember what code it is? And like, oh shoot, I probably should know this, but there's so many bikes now. So now it's all been simplified. Huge upgrade for the bike. This looks stunning. It's gonna reduce shipping damage, and it's gonna change it's gonna elevate the experience of the bike because it's one of the things you look at the most, and it is just simply quality. So big win there. Now, taking a look at the side profile of the bike, you're gonna kind of notice that the, form of it is a little bit different than what it was before. And so it's a 0-degree stem. This is our first time doing this. This is customer feedback, once again, influencing it, where the customers on, Facebook or Reddit would flip their handlebars around in order to, make the handlebars closer to them. They wanted to bring the cockpit towards them. And the bikes aren't designed to do that. So if you're a customer that's watching that has your handlebars set up like that, please don't do that because it wasn't tested. But that's a problem. Let's solve the problem. Let's bring that riding position inward. And so for anyone that's ridden a Lectric 1, this riding position is going to feel very normal, familiar. It's that upright riding position. You got your handlebars there. You're not completely fully extended. And so it completely changes the convenience of it. And by going to that 0 degree compared to the 12 degree we were doing before, we reduced the reach by about 15%. So super sick win. All right, let's go down to the frame of the battery and what's inside of that frame, the battery. And so now this battery, so we redesigned the tubing, and we now can fit 65 cells in there. And so the standard version of the bike still has a 10.4 amp hour battery, but now there's a second option. Because we can do 65 cells, 3,500 milliamp hour cells, you can get to a 17.5 amp hour battery. And I don't think, I looked around at the competitors, whether it's Rad, Aventon, Lectric, they don't do hidden batteries, Ride One Up, whoever you want to list out, none of them are doing a hidden battery inside that is this large. And the reason is, on a folding bike, is it's really hard to do that. It's hard to make the size of it make a lot of sense. So that is a cool upgrade, and I'm going to talk more about that form in a bit. But so the battery, obviously UL2271, full system is UL2849. It's just the expectation with Lectric now. We've been doing this for years. customer safety is at the top of mind on every product we design. So this is probably one of the biggest upgrades of the bike, been demanded since we made the very first one, new key location. So, all right, I knew that'd make some people happy. This is awesome, right? So people generally dislike me and Rob because of where that key location was for so many years. Because it was difficult to get to, and in order to move that key location, you have to redesign the battery. And so we had to completely redesign the battery. And so we put it on the non-drive side. It's simply there. But now the key doesn't have to stay in it either. That's another piece of feedback. So now key doesn't have to stay in it. You can lock your battery in the frame. Yeah, totally, super sick. We got a nice rocker switch. That little switch is way overpriced. So, Robbie was very particular. He was showing me the different switches and buttons in order to have it be on and off. And he was very particular about this rocker switch. And then I looked at the price of it and I said, "Are you insane?" And he said, "It's a non-negotiable." And we kind of have this understanding when he says that, it's like, well, it is a non-negotiable. So I guess we're putting it on it. So really sick addition onto it. The other cool thing about this battery is it is compatible with 5 amp charging. And so what's really dope about that is the standard bike, that 10 amp hour battery, can actually charge in 2 hours now. It's a reduction of 60%. You can have a 17.5 amp hour battery and charge it in just 3.5 hours. That's 85 miles you're ripping around, and then you charge it up in 3.5. It's stupid. It's so sick. And it took us a long time to develop and integrate that technology into our bikes, but we're so stoked to have it on the flagship, the XP4. So sick. All right, now let's jump out and let's look at this animation is awesome. Ooh, man, that was nice. Okay, so what's cool about this pedal is, Robbie, just give it back to me. It's a good pedal. Great work with this. It's a great pedal. You can feel it in the material, and it just has this optimal foot traction. So it's a really good feeling pedal. And so what was special is I've been able to see the maturity of Lectric. Just like that brake maker came to us saying, "We want to be on your bike. We will make whatever you want. We just want to be on your bike." Same thing, this pedal is made by the #1 pedal manufacturer in the world, a pedal maker that has historically been way out of our league. And they come to us and really want to work with Lectric. And so they work with us to design this, because our old quick release pedal, there's nothing really the matter with it. It was a great pedal, but we gave it to them, and then they came back and said, all right, we would change this material, and then we would add splined inserts. And so the reason I threw it to Rob is because there's no way I could easily just snap it in. Oh, shoot, I just did. And it's because the old design, you would perfectly have to line up, and you might try it 8, 10 times in order to get it in position. Now with the splined insert, you can just easily snap it in. This has been custom made for Lectric. And one of the reasons we did this is because we made the frame a little bit bigger, right? We changed it can fit more cells. We changed the stem angle. And so folding dimensions, we were able to essentially make the folding dimensions a wash, because now the folding pedals are not there. You can just quickly snap the pedals off. And also for packaging reasons, we are able to make it much more efficient. And so are we taking a look at packaging? Nah, I don't think so. But one of the cool things about Lectric's packaging, so the bike shows up to you fully assembled, and you're just literally no tools are required. You're snapping in the pedals, you're clicking in that display, you're shredding. And so, but now our packaging is 100% eco-friendly, so we moved the whole lineup now to eco-friendly packaging, which is a soup thing. Yeah. I was the champion of that one. So, huge one. So now we're taking a look at this pedal, and that pedal is connected to a crank. And so we gotta, go inside this bottom bracket here and check out what's in there. And so we've upgraded the bike to a torque sensor, and it is the biggest evolution in torque sensors that we've ever done before. We launched it with Express, and we were the first to do a torque sensor at that price on the Express bike, and it was incredible, but we learned a lot. Each time we brought it out on the Expedition 2, the XP2, each time we do it, we get a little bit better. The reality with the XP4, people love to go really fast, and sometimes there's a trade-off with a torque sensor. There's a trade-off of, you're going to not be able to go as fast, simply put. Like, that is the consequence sometimes. But if you have really smart people on your team, you're able to solve for that. And so we not only have solved for it, but we can go and maintain 28 mile per hour class 3 performance with an 18% reduction in pedaling cadence. So this thing absolutely rips, has all the benefits of it being a torque sensor in terms of, it just this intuitive, natural, instant response I'm feeling. As you pedal a torque sensor, you're pushing down on it, it's measuring how hard you're pushing down on it, and then providing that power. But and through the display, you have these torque multipliers where you can customize how much power it's gonna give. And if you wanna rip, if you're that person that loves 28 mile per hour riding without having to put in a lot of effort, this design and this programming has solved it in entirety. So that's a huge win. Now let's get out of the void because it's a little scary, and let's go, nice flag. By the way, Luke on our team built this whole bike and background in Unreal Engine. I walked by his desk one time and I'm like, are you building Red Dead Redemption? And he's like, no, it's where the bike's gonna be, it's sick. And so one of the other things with the 3.0 and previous designs that we've done in the XP line is ghost pedaling. You would ghost pedal, once you get over 25, 26 miles per hour, and so you gotta spin your legs really fast in order to maintain that higher speed. We don't want that. That is not a good riding experience. So let's just completely solve for it. And, so this is another example. A extremely big player in chain rings came to us and said, what do you want? And it's like, oh, this time I actually know exactly what I want. I want a 56 tooth. They don't, exist for folding e-bikes because they're so big. And so they worked with us, worked with the frame, and created this custom 56 tooth. So ghost pedaling is no more. We've deleted that. What this is connected to, if we go in the back, is that Shimano Altus derailleur and drivetrain I had been talking about. So the 1132 with that 56, with that pedal, with the torque sensor, the overall pedaling experience is generations better than where we were before. So a huge improvement for the bike, and we're really stoked about it. All right, so let's have some fun here. Let's punch into this motor and see what we're working with. That got quiet, right? It was a loud motor. And so, the Stealth M24 technology that we first introduced on the XP1 several years ago, we are now bringing that technology to the XP4. And, with this quieter tread pattern, with this Stealth M24, the bike is so quiet compared to anything we've done before. So it's an extremely quiet bike, and what we're looking at here is a 500 watt motor, nearly 1100 peak, 55 Newton meters. And this might be something that the people in the room or the people online or reviewers are keeping an eye on, right? Because if you think of it, we all watch the competition, what they're doing. I don't have many hobbies beyond this. All I do is study the competition. And so they came out with, they tried to show up to our doorstep and come out with bikes that are better than ours. And they launched bikes that are 750 watts. And it was really interesting because it was at a super competitive price point. And so we ordered one right away because it's like, man, I love when someone pushes us to be better. And so we get the bikes and we open them up. First thing you got to do when you don't have hobbies, you don't even ride it, you open it up. And you look and it's like, oh, interesting, they're using a 20 amp controller just like the 3.0 and the XP4, but it's not possible, right, to be a 750 watt system with a 20 amp controller. And so because 20 amp times 48 volts, you do math, you calculate it in efficiency, and the math doesn't make sense. So we reach out to support and we ask the question, how's it 750 watts if the math doesn't make sense? And they say, well, it's a really innovative bike and motor design, right? So we've completely reimagined it. And so it's like, oh, all right. So let's put it back together. Let's put it next to our other bikes, and let's ride side by side. Let's do hill climbs. Let's do 0 to 20, whatever. And we saw with the 3.0 that we were beating bikes with our 500 watt that were saying 750 watts. And that's not enough to really feel certain about something. So what we decided to do was to reach out to SEA. So SEA is a third-party testing group that, they design the testing and machinery for industries like the car industry, EPA ratings, everything like that. And they're working with the CPSC to design the standards and the tests and the machinery for those tests for the light electric vehicle category. And so we sent, bikes and worked with them and sent testing and everything. And the results came back, and then we sent with the XP4, and I'm just going to show you the graphs. It's super interesting. Let's look at it on screen here. So here's the base level XP4. It's a 500 watt motor, 55 newton meters of torque. The Ride One Up Portola, the Fold One right there, both advertised as 750 watts. The Fold One Lite advertises the same 500 watts as XP4, but it actually performed 24% less. The Fold One, right, advertises a 36% higher newton meters of torque compared to the XP4 500, but it actually had 16% outputted. The Ride One Up Portola, same thing. It was advertising about 15% more torque than what we were advertising, but it actually tested 10% below. But that's just one test, right? So let's go ahead and look at another test. So hill climb. You kind of notice they all kind of perform the same, and this is, the Lectric XP4 competing with bikes that are 750 watts. So our 500 watt motor is beating 750 watt in hill climbing. That just doesn't make a ton of sense. Now let's go ahead and look at another one. Bike acceleration. Absolutely, the 750 watt should smoke in terms of acceleration, but it didn't, right? And so they all kind of perform in the same band, within enough of a reasonable delta that it makes you wonder, are these? And so I'm not up here for the people watching online and everything, saying that our competition is dishonest or deceitful, but the testing is, and the results are, right? And so what's so lame, I love this company. This company's awesome because we get to lead the industry in many ways, like innovation, value, philanthropy, customer service. What I have no interest in is leading the industry in truthfulness or transparency, right? Everybody should be held to the same standard. Everybody, regardless if you're a customer of mine or a customer of one of the others, should falsely say what their motors are. But we had to have a conversation, Rob, myself, the product team, where are we doing a disservice to Lectric, right? If we don't call it a 750 watt. It makes perfect sense for us to launch it and call it a 750 watt because those in the industry that are calling their 750 watts are losing to this one. So we're completely within our right in order to do that. So I asked the people in this room, is that what we should do? Is that what we should do? Boo. Boo's right. No, I think we should give the people the bike that they crave, the motor that they crave. So for the first time ever, the XP is coming out with a 750 watt option. So huge, huge thing for the industry. But guys, it gets better. It gets better. Come on. No, I'm not even at my graphs yet. Let's look at some graphs. Let's see how it performs. Those are just numbers. Oh, shoot, it looks like it does perform how you would expect a 750. You expect 500s to perform one way. You expect a 750 watt to perform another way. It's using a 24 amp controller. The math checks out. The performance shows. Let's look at another test, right? Hill climb. Dude, whoa, it smokes the XP4. I was just saying how sick it is in hill climbing performance. This thing's awesome. So yeah, it can totally crush hills. And let's take a look at acceleration. It should totally show an improvement there. Oh, and it's over a 25% reduction in the 0 to 20 acceleration test. So yeah, this motor, this is what the people want. Let's give it to them. Let's give them that option. So huge amount of pressure has just been applied to the industry, which I'm super stoked about. By the way, we are doing a bunch of testing for a bunch of products for our product lineup, our competitors' lineups, and we'll be releasing all this data to the public over the coming weeks in tranches. And so it's going to be really fun for people to learn about the bike they have in their garage, all of Lectric's lineup and everything like that. So that's super exciting. So this is like, I don't know. I kind of feel dirty, right, getting up here and being in the void. So let's get out of the void. I got a shower after a discussion like this because it just feels wrong. But so let's take a look at the back of the bike. And we had mentioned it before. Let's go to nighttime. Let's focus on it. So now we got the turn signals. So I'm a big advocate for when you're out riding, if you can use your hand turn signals, they're very visible. But some people aren't comfortable. They want to keep both hands on the handlebar. Customers have asked us to add turn signals to the bike. They ask and we will design. And so we added turn signals to it and then also brake light activation. So whenever you pull the brakes, the rear light lights up. And so it's just really great for communicating those other people on the road, the other cars. We have amazing aspirations for this bike. The number one selling electric bike in the US and North America is this bike right here for eBikes. And, if you look at the EV industry, it's the third best selling EV. So it's the Tesla Model Y, the Tesla Model 3, and then the Lectric XP 3.0. It will now be, the XP4. And that other company that I mentioned isn't like doing awesome right now. And so it's like, if we're in third place, we should go, let's climb the ladder. This is a great opportunity. Let's get more bikes on roads. Let's change the way people move. This is why we show up to work. And so the XP4, has some of this automobile industry tech and features, which is super exciting. So let's go back to daytime. Let's go to the side profile of the bike. So every now and then as I went through this bike, there's a lot of features and changes that were customer feedback. People, asked us to, improve the display, the pedals, the gearing ratios. They wanted more battery. They wanted a torque sensor, the turn signals, whatever. Every now and then, you just do an improvement for a bike because you think it looks better. And, that was part of the exercise with Joe, is we wanted the bike to look better. And so this, new level up rack, it has the versatility. It is Yep seat compatible. You can see it over there with the kid seat on the back. It can hold 150 pounds. It can hold, the buddy seat, for, your kids sitting on the back with the pegs and the handlebar. So a lot of functionality with this rack, but really we just thought it looked way better with this rack on top of the rack. So this is the new level up rack. And so the fender, we used to use metal fenders, and so what would happen is during shipping, those would get dented, or also when you're riding them, they're much more noisy. Robbie? And so during shipping, you might get one that is dented or warped. And so why do you go to a polypropylene fender is it comes back to form. And so this metal fenders actually cost a third of the price of something like this. And it's because there is a real material quality of life improvement, real benefit for you. So yeah, huge, huge upgrade for customers. Okay, we spent a lot of time looking at this bike, and for those that are here, they've already kind of been able to see some of the other options, but now I'm gonna go through the color options of the bike. And so now, yeah. So they used to say you could get an XP in any color as long as it was, black or white. Well, now they can see black, white, blue, or green. So we've added this. This is something people have been asking for, and it's part of that design exercise we did with Joe. And I'm going to take some ownership for an oopsie I made. So we were at a media day event recently, showing some press this bike. And by the way, watch your favorite creators' reviews of the XP4. Don't just take my word for it. Check out their reviews that are probably all being posted online right now. We go to this media event and everybody loves this pine green. It's our first time ever doing it. Well, I made an oopsie, and I'm sharing it with Rob actually, because we were like placing the frame order and deciding the paint jobs, and we were like, yeah, like, I don't know, 10% of people are gonna like green. Boy, were we wrong. At that event, it over-indexed, so if there's a longer wait time and this sells out faster, I will take some blame. We will restock and we will get more of them ordered. But I just want to play that, let people know ahead of time. But so when you look at the options, the 500 watts are available in both the high step and the step through. In the high step form, it's in that Tempest gray. In the step through, it's in Stratus white. And then for the 750 watt version, and so that 750 watt version is, by the way, paired with that 17.5 amp hour battery. So the 500 watt is paired with the 10.4. The 750 is paired with that 17.5 amp hour battery. And those are available in the whole onslaught of colors. So in the high step version, you get the pine green and the Tempest gray. And then on the step through version, you can get it in Stratus white, Raindrop blue, and Tempest gray. So adding more colors, this is something everybody's been asking for, and it's a huge, huge improvement because we like listening to our customers. If they want more colors, we will answer the call. Sometimes it just takes us a little bit, and sometimes we do wrong math and think nobody's gonna like pine green, but we might be wrong. Okay, so we've talked a lot about specs and performance. Let's talk about price. So this is gonna get, maybe a little weird or uncomfortable because there's a really interesting environment. This is, had a lot of improvement. The torque sensor, the TFT display, the polypropylene fenders, the better pedals, the level up rack. Like, there's been a lot of investment. The Altus Drivetrain, the 56 tooth chainring. Like, we've invested a lot into this bike. And then we've spent the last year diversifying our supply chain, and we accomplished that. We had great success. And turns out that didn't matter because then everything now has the tariffs. And so it puts us in a really interesting spot here. But Lectric is committed to fighting for the customer. We are committed to this idea of being the greatest urban transportation solution ever. And so we are committed to holding the line, and the bike is staying at $999 despite tariff, despite all these price upgrades. We hold the line. We hold the line. This team worked so hard to accomplish this, right? We lost so many hours of sleep in order to achieve this because this is truly an innovative price at $999. So, We were the very first company to do hydraulic brakes at $9.99 with the 3.0. We were the very first company to launch a bike with a torque sensor at $9.99. We're now the first company to launch a bike with a TFT display at $9.99. You look at any, and I'll call them out again, if it's a Rad, it's an Aventon, it's a Ride 1 Up, it's a Lectric, it's a Super 73, it's a Pedigo, I don't care who, they are not packing in this much value for the customer. And so $9.99, very innovative price, and people are going to really benefit and experience the upgrade in performance and feeling. What's also extremely innovative is actually this $12.99. There's a lot of firsts that are happening there. No one in the industry, you can make a really bad bike and not put a torque sensor on it, not put a TFT display, like take the fenders, the front suspension, like strip that thing down. Just doing a terrible bike at a 17.5 amp hour battery is already innovative, right? No one else is doing that. And so we're stoked. Like, this demands such a response. When you're the #1 in the industry, people are hoping that we launch these bikes and raise prices because now they can justify it, right? They so badly wanted us to increase prices, but we are on the side of the customer first and foremost. And so by doing that large a battery, that's innovative, but also the 750 watt performance. Like I said, there's not a player in the industry that is providing real 750 watt performance at this price point. And so not only does it still have the torque sensor, the TFT display, and everything else great about this bike, but it has a 17.5 amp hour battery, which is the first in the industry, and it has a really freaking powerful motor at that price point as well. So $12.99, I said it was going to get uncomfortable. It's not uncomfortable for us, right? We just made it very uncomfortable for our competition. And what's cool about being #1 is everybody is watching this. We have thousands and thousands of people on the live stream right now, and that includes our competition's product teams. It includes our competition's CEOs, their boards. And so they're watching it, they're witnessing it. I want them to feel it, so let's give them a 2 clap. I want the people in Seattle to feel it. Orange County, San Diego. Ooh, they feel it now. I love this job. I love this job. I love this company. And so this is the bike. This is the formula. And so it's, you know, we got these banners up. But this was to be expected, was that second banner. That's why we, you know, clock in, go do the job. And there's that back-to-back banner. Rob, can I see this? This is your dish towel now, right? This towel is not part of it. You throw it on the ground. I don't care what you do. Don't waste it. Seriously, use it as a dish towel. Reach under your seat right now, and there is the new one, right? And this is the motto for this year, right? We got 7 months left this year. Let's focus up, and let's go for the three-peat, right? We go for the three-peat. Road to three-peat. I want you guys to get on your feet. I want you on your feet. What do dynasties do? What are we gonna accomplish? The three-peat. That is what we're gonna do. They want the three-peat. They're gonna want the three-peat. Thank you guys. You're the best company in the entire world. Let's go change transportation. Let's go. Yeah.